Hey guys, welcome to the Tower of Babble, episode 23. I'm joined here by Daniel and Jeremy over Skype. Say hello, guys.
What's up? Yo.
I apologize now for any echo we might have. There might be a little bit. Nothing we can really help. Jeremy apparently lives in a world without headphones, so this will be a quick one though, because again, there was nothing much over the holidays. But I did put together a quick list of the stuff that I really enjoyed from this year. So it's kind of a retrospective, kind of a news one, but it's a little bit of both. But I'll just jump in really quick, Dan. We just watched Community season 5, episodes 1 and 2. Well, half of 2 for me, but I don't want to get into it. Really stupid DVR. Dan, are you happy with what happened with season?
Very happy with it. Yeah,
that's hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. Jeremy, did you watch the new Community, or are you watching the Jets?
I watched the Jets.
That's a shame. I actually watched both, but Community was hilarious. I was like, it just has that old feel to it again. And did they get Zach Braff to do that voiceover in the first one?
They must have, yeah.
Because that was hilarious.
Yeah. I love Repilot is definitely the most apt name for the first episode. They really did they referenced a lot of season 1, episode 1, and but did it in it didn't feel like homage. It just felt like they were getting back to the basics, getting back to what the character's supposed to be about. It was really good.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen season 1, episode 1. I probably didn't catch most of those.
Oh, you idiot!
Why did you just recently rewatch it?
No, I just know things.
You just have one of those memories for stuff that's not important.
Yeah.
Okay. What else happened this week? Okay, well, Christmas Christmas the other week, but whatever. Cold Snap, nothing really exciting there. But the next Marvel one-shot, so those little movies attached to the DVDs or whatever, the Blu-rays, is called All Hail the King, and it's being attached to the Thor 2 Blu-ray. So either that has nothing to do with what happened at the end of Thor 2, but there was also that whole thing with Ben Kingsley coming out and saying that he was doing a one-shot, so if that's the one he's in, that would be interesting, at least if it is continuing after what happened with Thor 2, how that would work, or maybe it has nothing to do with what happened in Thor 2. I don't know, but it kind of has that name that you would suggest. I'm trying not to spoil what happened. If you can, I'm kind of going around it there, making it hard to talk about. I guess I could just get into it. We always spoil everything anyway.
Yeah, it's been out for
a while. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Loki was, I guess, masquerading as Odin, pretending to be Odin at the end of Thor 2. So if that's what this is, then it has Loki in it. It's kind of like an additional piece. That's pretty cool. Most of the other ones haven't really been directly related to what happened in the movie, at least as far as I know. Jeremy, you've seen most of those one shots.
Yep.
And are they ever really just a continuation of the movie, or are they more just their own story?
I'd say more their own story.
Yeah, if that's what it is, I'd be surprised if it was even had Loki in it. It's probably more likely it has something to do with the Ben Kingsley thing, and that name is just a coincidence, I guess, or a tease. Yeah. Speaking of teasers, The Rock had tweeted out that he might be in the next, not the next, but another DC movie. His tweet was, "We just had a big meeting with Warner Bros. CEO and DC Comics. 2014, we will partner up and create the cool badassery. Rock Talk at Action Tilson." So, if you could pick for The Rock for anyone in a movie, because it's probably not going to be Power Man, but movie-wise, because
you just said DC, right?
Yeah, DC, but with Warner Bros. CEO, so it's probably likely a movie, not this television show. Anything is possible. Maybe he is going to be playing Power Man in those Netflix things.
Power Man's Marvel.
Oh wait, what?
It's a DC thing, man.
Oh, what is that? Jesus, what did I just say that? Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, okay. You know what? Let's just scrap it all, because obviously I don't know anything at all.
I don't know.
Getting things confused here.
We can guess which character he could play potentially.
Yeah. Well, it probably DC wise, everyone wanted to play Lobo forever.
Yeah.
I kind of don't like Lobo at all.
He's got the personality for it. He can make that big.
Do you guys anyone like Lobo?
Well, he can just overact and make it like that, you know.
Yeah, but that's just not. I don't know. I feel like it's a waste, don't you? Like if you're gonna get the Rock to play something.
In terms of like physicality, he looked like I don't know why I associated him like this. He reminds me of Deathstroke, or not Despero, the
the
three-eyed.
Yeah, the three. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, it's possible. But like
maybe it's just because the way he does his hair and Despero has that fin, but.
Yeah, that's okay. I could see that too. Jeremy, do you have any ideas?
Not gonna happen.
Not Despero. Okay, well, yeah, okay, I mean, Despero not might happen, but what about something else?
What do you think about a Justice League member?
If he was a Justice League member, Aquaman.
Manhunter?
Manhunter.
I was gonna say Manhunter, but I think you need someone more stoic, someone less. I don't know. He doesn't have the right personality for it. I don't think.
What about Cyborg?
Yeah, Cyborg.
There you. Yeah, no, there you go. I can see him as a football player.
Yeah, I could see it.
I'm sure I think he was a football player.
Yeah, that's. Well, yeah, he used to play. Yeah, he used to play
for Miami.
Yeah.
And then had a season with Calgary, with the Rough Riders, or not the Stampeders. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that they've been trying to push Cyborg for a long time as like a big like A-list character.
And The Rock's a huge actor right now. So
exactly.
DC should lock him up for something.
I think they at one point people were calling him Franchise Viagra as his nickname. So you could just put him in anything and you just make it like awesome, right? So I mean, he did The Mummy. I guess that was his like early like movie like start.
Yeah, and then that franchise kind of died after Scorpion King.
Yeah, but the Scorpion King was awesome, right? Right?
Not really.
Right?
It was pretty cool at the end.
There's a lot of pretty cool parts in that movie, actually.
When he became a giant scorpion?
No, that's
the Mummy too. The spin-off movie Scorpion King was pretty cool at the end.
Oh, really?
You ever seen Scorpion King?
I don't remember it.
The giant scorpion part is not. That's not cool. That part not. But just reminds me when
he shoots the bad guy with an arrow in the chest and he goes flying off a roof into an explosion to die. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there you go. It just reminds me of when Bryce, our buddy, bought. He was so excited about the Mummy pack, like the collector's collection he got. It was like he was never been more excited about anything, and it was a Mummy collection. I was like, that's which has got to be one of the worst franchises in probably in movie history, right? Like just quality wise.
You watching the game right now?
No, why? What happened?
Just curious.
Why? I'll check the score now. Are you?
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? I probably could stream it, but I guess that would probably you'll also use up my bandwidth, which is probably not good for Skype calls. But anyway, what were we talking about? Way to derail it. Okay, so we'll move on, I guess, because I think we all agree that the Cyborg would be the best way to go with.
Well, for a Justice League member, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if he was a villain, yeah, you could have. I guess he could do I don't know, someone
Doomsday.
Doomsday, yeah, but like that's just such a again, it's like a waste. Doomsday doesn't really speak. It's like. I mean, you can always make him speak. Yeah, they can make him be more of a.
They can make him
I like Lobo too, though.
I just think Lobo's a stupid character.
I don't think we need him in a movie universe right now.
Maybe not. Yeah,
it's too out there.
It's just too weird. It's like a.
How do you connect him to what's going on now? Like,
I don't know. You could. It'd be. It's too early. Like maybe later. Like you said, not.
Yeah,
too
later
soon.
for sure.
I mean, but again, it's like I don't think you'd even need a Lobo like really ever. I think Lobo's kind of a crappy character, to be honest with you. Not very deep. Kind of just too weird. I guess they're making a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so anything's possible. But I don't know. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, there's the first photo came out. Have you guys seen the photo that they released for Guardians?
Yes.
No.
It was leaked a while ago though, so.
This is like good
it's
quality.
It's like an HD version. Yeah.
And Groot looks pretty cool, like giant tree, but like has an actual face
He's not that big though.
Nope. Bautista looks badass. I can't remember the name of his character he's playing now, but like he's international, like a intergalactic, like kind of like Lobo. Obviously, there's a squirrel there, a green
Raccoon.
chick. What did I say? Squirrel?
It's a raccoon.
The raccoon. Is it raccoon or raccoon?
Raccoon.
Okay, it's a raccoon. What happened with the game? Okay, I can't find. I don't have the thing. What happened with it? I'm finding it now.
What game?
The Jets game. You derailed the podcast. I need to know now why.
3-4 for Ottawa.
Fuck. 3-4. It was 2-2 last time I was watching.
Yeah.
How much time is left?
Not what the podcast
5 minutes.
is about.
No, it's true. It's not. Let's see here.
Conversational podcast.
Yeah, it's Don't steal that, Jeremy. We're not a conversational podcast.
It is a conversational podcast.
It is, but we're not just gonna say that because it's stealing.
We have conversations.
Yeah, but that's Podcast Beyond's thing. I don't want to steal their line, you know.
I'm not trying to steal it. It just came up in the conversation.
Stop saying conversation. Okay, so Uncharted. Speaking of IGN, IGN released the whole thing about Uncharted was originally when they did the first announcement at E3 a couple years ago for the first Uncharted game. They did have a name attached to the trailer, and they didn't have like they're tossing names back and forth at Naughty Dog and with Sony, and like they wanted to go with Uncharted was on the table apparently at one point, and they said they couldn't because in Europe Uncharted has a connotation of meaning like not like being at the bottom of the list, not like not being charted, you know, so being like really crappy. So they didn't want to go that way. So originally, like around Sony and I guess in Naughty Dog, people just started calling it Dude Raider, because it's like just because how much it reminded everyone of Tomb Raider, obviously. So. And like it was like going on like that for a while, and they obviously weren't going to call it that, but they eventually got the title Uncharted, and then it stuck. But I just thought that was funny because Dude Raider would have been like, I don't think it would have sold very well if it was called Dude Raider. Also sounds like a bad gay porno movie.
Hey, what? Never mind.
What?
No. Go next.
Mr. Freeze DLC for Arkham Origins.
Oh,
how's that sound?
sounds good.
Have you played Have you?
I didn't
cool.
get the first DLC. No.
Jimmy, what was that? Sorry, I want to.
Sounds pretty cool.
Perfect. I love a good pun, especially one that's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Batman and Robin worthy. Oh, those are that movie has the best puns ever. I think we've talked about this before, but I've never been happier with the amount of puns in that movie than any. Like it's perfect.
You can call them good puns.
No, they're good because they're so bad.
Okay.
He tells someone to chill out and then freezes them with it.
The worst one is "Ice to meet you." That one doesn't make any sense.
That makes perfect sense. What doesn't make sense about that?
Ice to meet you? Are you shitting me?
Those ones are really. They're so bad that they're good though.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Ice to meet you. I'm gonna use that. When I'm gonna start the podcast next week, I'm gonna say "ice to meet you" instead of "nice to meet you." Well, I guess it doesn't really make sense if I already met you. Fuck. I'll just pick another one. There's like 100 from that movie I could use. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have for news. I told you there wasn't anything, but I have my little list here made up of stuff from 2013 that I really liked. Did you guys have any small?
I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of overlap though.
Okay, well then I'll start. I don't have it. It's in no particular order.
I didn't get anything together, so
yeah, not a surprise. Not a surprise at all, actually. But like, okay, let's give context. So the list is not our top 10 best movies or our top 10 best games or our top 10 whatever, our best or worst or whatever. It's just stuff. It's just our favorite things and stuff from 2013. I might also say my like least favorite stuff, but I don't have very many of those. So I'll start with one of my favorite of the things is Man of Steel. Man of Steel was huge for me. I really, really liked it. I know a lot of people were like very, polarized with it. Some people really hated it. Some people really liked it. I definitely fell on the side of really, really liking it, and I'm really happy that what DC is doing with their movie universe now. If you can call it a universe with only one movie. So, anyway, That's my first one. Dan, what do you have so far?
No, yeah, I put Man of Steel as well.
Man of Steel on there as well.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you?
I will also put Man of Steel.
I just made up a list now, and number 1, Man of Steel.
I'll just agree or disagree with your choices.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
And maybe something will pop up in my mind that I'll.
Okay,
remember.
so is Man of Steel? That's a Jeremy Cozier yes or Jeremy Cozier no?
Yep.
Stamp of approval.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Dan, what do you got? What else do you have?
I did kind of separate mine into like movies, TV, video games, but they're not in order of like best to worst. They're just what I thought off the top of my head. I'm gonna say one that I don't think would be on your list, just so we have some diversity. The movie Prisoners.
Prisoners, eh? I don't think I saw it. No, I haven't seen it. Jeremy, have you seen it?
I haven't. No, but I hear good things.
That movie was effective. That movie is depressing.
It affected you?
It does. It affects you. It's I don't know how to describe it. It's just go see it. It's grip. Like people always describe movies as gripping, kind of on the edge of your seat, kind of like you don't know what's gonna happen next, and you're always like yeah. This one like fits all of those, and like actually, it's the definition of a thriller.
That's saying a lot because you're like pretty cynical when it comes to those kinds of things.
I am very, very cynical. And this movie was effective. Yeah.
This movie just came recently, or yeah.
A couple months ago.
There's a few Oscar contenders that just came out, like 2 big ones on Christmas Day that I have yet to see, but apparently they're great. I mean, I'm not gonna say either way, but I mean, I really want to see a couple of them. But I mean, it's hard to see movies over the holidays, at least for me. It's being as busy as we usually are. Okay, I'll throw another one out here, but I'll move away from movies for a second. So
it's my turn.
What? You didn't have to. Okay, well, you said you had nothing, so I was gonna skip.
It popped up into my mind.
Okay, well then go ahead.
Don John.
Yeah, no, when you watched that, you said you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool and new and refreshing, different than a lot of movies. So, I'd recommend that one.
Yeah, well, and it's obviously JGL's directorial debut. We talked about his role in the Sandman thing coming up, maybe as director, maybe starring, maybe both. So that's usually a good sign as far as a debut anyway. But it's not really the same genre, same idea. But it can maybe maybe he says something to how he'll actually do as when he takes on bigger
traction
movies.
with it. Yeah.
He's got some chops. Okay, well then so I'll go move away from movies for a second. Game of Thrones, Reigns of Castamere, not the whole season, just that one particular episode was jarring, huge. Episode 9, obviously the big one, came out it was in March, I believe, so early this year. Me and you talked about it extensively. Obviously, when it happened, we talked about it on our Game of Thrones podcast. Obviously, we'll be doing that again with the next season coming up. With the next Game of Thrones season coming in, starting next couple months, I think, right in the spring,
April.
So yeah, so obviously we'll be back at that right away. But just in general, is looking back on 2013 as far as television and being affected. And we're talking about being affected. Daniel was saying is very affecting that last movie, but that episode in particular is extremely affecting. I mean, that's one of those things where people who were book readers were protecting that knowledge. Some people, there's obviously those tools out there who don't want to try to ruin things for people, but that's something they were protecting so people who weren't book readers could enjoy it as it was without being spoiled. Like they wanted, more than anything, that one thing not to be spoiled for non-book readers. That's what I got as a non-book reader. That's the impression I got, and it was definitely worth it. I mean, someone spoiled something for me for later on in seasons later, and from a book. I'm obviously not gonna say what it is. I was super angry at them. I literally got up and walked away. So, this is obviously I'm not talking about. Sorry,
I think we just lost Jeremy.
Oh, did we? We'll see if we can get him back. Well, we'll see if we can get him back. Anyway, as I was saying, it's not about. Oh, wait, no, there he is. Nope. Hold on, I'll add him in. Add people to this call. Jeremy Cozier. Add to call. Anyway, as he's dialing in, I was saying I'm not talking so much about spoiler. I'm just talking about this episode in general. But I can't even talk about it without spoiling. I don't want to spoil it for other people either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
But it was just so impactful. Like the way it was shot, the music choices, the cinematography of it. Obviously, the story implications were insane. To the point that I had to wait. Like they were still waiting for this next season to start. Is like excruciating. Like I think about Game of Thrones like a lot because of that episode. You know.
Imagine how we feel. Like he's got to finish those goddamn books.
Yeah, you keep saying that. We haven't got to the point where
like 2 years ago.
I haven't got to the point where I feel like I need to start getting upset because I still have so much content left to cover in the show. But he does look like in poor health. he just doesn't seem like he's like the type that'll live long.
He does weigh 300 pounds.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't eat well. Like, you have to assume like he spends a lot of time like up late at night. Like he probably doesn't sleep very much either. Maybe he's maybe he's up late writing books, Dan.
He should be almost done the 6th book by now.
How many books did you say there's going to be?
He said what he's always said is 7 is what he's like shooting for, but he also doesn't want to limit it to an abstract number of books. He's going to write as many books as he needs to tell the story.
Okay, so possibly more
Whatever
than 7.
That means. Yeah.
Okay. So Dan, do you have anything else?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, yeah. So yeah, what? Lay it on me.
Another TV one, or
no? Just anywhere. Go anywhere. It's like I said,
I'll do another
random.
TV one. I know. I'll leave one. No, I'll leave that for Jeremy. I was gonna do Newsroom. I really love Newsroom this season.
Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about Newsroom. That's great. I'm really glad
Newsroom,
you threw that in.
They did a really good job having it. It wasn't quite the same as the first season, but they had their own original story arc that they did, and it wasn't so much of it's still a lot of social commentary, but they put that together really well.
Yeah,
Newsroom was excellent this season.
I have to agree 110%. Like the way they did the story, like threading it through from the first episode to the last, and the cliffhanger that they left it on.
I love the way that show is written too.
That was great.
The dialogue. I want to cut it up and eat it. I don't know what that means.
Is that HBO or what channel?
Yeah, HBO. It's usually on. Was it on Sunday nights?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was after Game of Thrones started or ended. And it was also on Sunday nights and right before Veep. So,
Daniel's favorite show.
Veep?
Yeah. he really enjoyed that one.
Have you ever seen Veep? It's actually not that bad. It's pretty funny.
A little bit of it. It's not alright.
It's not alright. It's not even alright.
It's not even alright. It's.
You were laughing so hard when we watched it at your house.
Yeah, maybe at one point. I don't know.
Okay, if this is true, if Jeremy's accusations are in fact true, then if you were laughing so hard, how can you say it's not even all right?
I've laughed really hard at the Cleveland show as well. That doesn't mean it's my favorite show.
No, it doesn't have to, but it also means that it's better than just not all right.
Maybe, you know what? I'll advance that. It is all right.
Okay. I mean, I'm not even.
Is that show going to continue?
Veep?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't follow that.
Popular.
I think one time I mentioned on the podcast that was getting another season, and you guys told me to move on. I was like, and Veep's getting another. I don't care.
Yeah. My opinions haven't really changed much since that day.
Okay, so Jeremy, I think you have another one.
Yeah. Well, Breaking Bad ended. It's 5th season and whole series, so that was pretty important this year.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Probably bigger than most of the other stuff on this list, at least for most people anyway.
And it's in my top 3 shows of all time too. So,
what are the other 2?
Other 2,
The Wire,
Sopranos,
and
The Wire right now. But another show, I don't know, did House of Cards, was that this year?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll talk.
Save that
I'll
one.
Throw that in there I'll throw that one for a best of the year show as well.
No, that's this one. This is this show. This is best of the year. That's the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for another.
No, I'm saying I'm nominating that one as well for this show.
Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, are we voting later? Is that what's happening? Did you really say? We'll talk about it for a second. Both of them.
Yeah,
Breaking Bad.
I watched it all one day. Wait, Breaking
Oh,
Bad?
Breaking Bad or either. Doesn't matter. Start with either one.
Well, there's already said enough about Breaking Bad, but House of Cards. You guys haven't watched that one?
Not yet. No, I'm getting to it.
Well, I watched it in one day, all 13 episodes,
Jesus.
and I was hooked.
You watched 13 hours straight. So wait, you just got on my ass for sitting on my ass today.
I work a full-time job. You do nothing every day.
Well, I go back to school right away.
I had one day off, and it was Christmas Eve.
And you watched all of game. You watched all of House of Cards.
I think I watched like 9, and then the rest the next day.
Well, I get how you feel. I mean, I said this before the podcast, but I've been watching Homefront, which the third season was this year, which I would be able to talk about, but I haven't got that far yet. So the first and second season are not from this year, so it doesn't count. But I've really been enjoying Homefront, so that's just an aside.
It's called Homeland.
Yeah, it's called
Homeland.
That's what I said.
No, you said Homefront.
Homefront's a game, right?
Yeah.
It's a game and a movie with Jason Statham.
Yeah, but also a yeah, you know what? But it just came out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why, right?
Yeah,
you guys can understand
the movie
that.
came out.
Yeah. Okay. But you guys understand. Okay.
But yeah, House of Cards, amazing acting. Every episode feels like a movie. And David Fincher, you guys know who he is.
Yeah.
Social Network, Fight Club, Seven. He's like an executive producer and he directs some of the episodes, so it really has his touch on all the episodes. Yeah. So it's really professionally done and just super intense.
You know what? I don't know if I've said on the show before, but I'm a big Kevin Spacey fan.
Yeah, he's awesome. I don't usually like him that much, but he's really good in this one.
Well, I don't know if you'd asked this before, but what did you think of Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor in Batman Returns? Or Superman Returns, sorry. Jesus, off my game.
I don't know. I just didn't like that movie as a whole. So.
Well, yeah, but separate out Kevin Spacey's role in it. I liked it.
It's a hard thing to do, man.
He was good. I don't know.
I think he played the maniacal villain role well. Personally, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
and he's basically a villain in House of Cards, so it's really.
Is he?
Cool.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think he's probably better suited for the villain role than the hero role anyway. So, I mean, he was the one of the bosses. He was one of the main villains in Horrible Bosses, and that movie was hilarious. And
yeah, he was really good in that.
Yeah. So anyway, so Dan, we've done TV ones.
That's all I had for TV.
So let me throw out another one. I have a comic book one here. So Trinity War, I didn't like as much, but the end of Trinity War, when the twist moving into Forever Evil, that's what hooked me. That part there is that moment. That one issue is, for me, a big part of 2013. Obviously, Forever Evil was a big part of it with the whole Villains Month thing and all that stuff.
Still going on.
Yeah, it's Forever still going on, so it'll go into 2014 as well. But the whole twist that it was the Justice League or the crime syndicate from Earth 3 that was actually involved in this whole thing is really cool the way they've done it so far. I mean, Jeff Johns' writing is really great as always, and I'll talk a little more about Jeff Johns later. That's coming up, but and we've touched on this before, but that comic book moment for me in this year was also pretty big, and it was also well done. It was an event that a lot of the times they're very anticlimactic. I mean, we had Age of Ultron this year with Marvel, and that to me was pretty anticlimactic. There was some. I mean, I have another Marvel thing in here as well with All New X-Men, which is really great, and I've talked about that on the show before. How I've loved the writing of that show, that comic. But as it progresses, it moves kind of slowly, which is fine because it's a lot about character work, and the character work was so great. I haven't been able to keep up with it that much lately, and it's been tying more into some of that the Battle of the Atom thing that happened, and I can't really speak to it as much because I haven't read all of them, but that was exciting as well. You're speaking about the whole X-Men thing. The whole X-Men thing at Marvel's been really great in general, but All New X-Men was really great. So was the Forever Evil twist at the end of Trinity War. Jeremy, you really liked Trinity War for what it was as a whole as itself, right?
Yeah, I thought it was exciting and fun, and I was every page turn. I was like just hooked. Like I wanted to know what happened next. So I read it all at once though too, which is kind of what
we've talked about before. Yeah.
Yeah. How you felt and how I felt, I guess.
And I've been leaning towards this more and more lately as I've been reading comics more. Is that I think I prefer to read comics more in the trade format now than I think I do the single issue format. It's hard because I really want to know what's coming next, right? You want to see what's coming next, but it's so hard because it's a month or sometimes longer in between. Like we had Superman Unchained 5 or 4 that came out yesterday, and I love it.
It's so readily available for you to get it
on my iPad. Yeah.
And on your iPad.
Like even like the comics that came out, Forever Evil number 4 or 5, I can't remember which one, came out on Christmas Day, and I was like, well, I have to read it. I mean, Forever Evil is not that bad because it's been kind of its own thing, and I haven't really been reading that much other than that. But I think like I just read Wonder Woman, the first 2 trades. So I guess the new DC, the new 52 stuff. So I got Blood and the other one, whatever it's called.
Guts.
Yeah. So I read those 2, and they're great. It's great, but I was thinking that if I was reading them issue to issue, I don't think I would have. I don't know if I would have kept going, or if I would have stayed as faithful.
Well, it's just weird because you can kind of forget lots of things, and the momentum goes away too.
So maybe that'll be. I'm thinking maybe that'll be something I might change over to more in 2014. Is reading more things in trade and reading more graphic novels, standalone stuff. Just because I love reading the experience of reading comics on my iPad, but I don't really enjoy the experience.
Or you can just wait.
Yeah, I mean you can wait it out, but it's like it's hard to talk about if you're waiting it out at the same time.
Yeah, I guess
maybe I can go back and reread stuff more. I mean, more appreciate things that I've read previously, like some of the Green Lantern stuff. I should probably go back and reread and probably appreciate more. I mean, I do already appreciate it a lot, but I mean, it would probably be even better read as a whole than as pieces.
Yeah.
Dan, you have been keeping up with comics too much this year.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's not a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Well, I mean, it's been good stuff.
I want to. I just never like when I have time to do stuff. I'm like, it's not the first my first choice. I don't know why. It should be. I should get into it again.
There's some good stuff out there. There's that Daredevil stuff that you downloaded a year ago, maybe. I've been reading, and that's great stuff. That stuff
was good.
But I mean, there's stuff just as good, if not better, that's been come out in the last year that is definitely worth reading. So anyway, what else do you have, Dan, on your list?
All right, I'll do another one. I'm gonna do a video game now. I put a few of these, but I'm gonna say one I don't think either of you would have put. Injustice was a big game for me this year.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have put that one. You're right, because I'm not a fighting game fan. I had a feeling you might have put that one.
I would put it.
Yeah, you might have. But like in terms of like anticipation for a game, and then like I was waiting for this game for a while. I love Mortal Kombat already. I was really pumped for that game, and Injustice didn't disappoint. It became a great fighting game.
Yeah, with the letdown of MK versus DC.
Yeah.
Was that a letdown for you guys?
Anything like this again? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that was a big letdown.
Really? It looked like we were never going to get another version like that, and then they come out with, just a full with a unique story.
Yeah, it had everything you needed in a fighting game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually 100% agree with. I've watched. If you believe this, I went on YouTube and I watched all the cutscenes, so I could watch it as like a movie. And the story's great, and like the tie-in comic's been great. The whole weekly Injustice tie-in comic was really great as well. I mean, I'll throw that in on my list is that weekly comic, the digital only one, definitely worth reading. Even if you haven't played Injustice, just the alternate storyline, like alternate universe style storyline, is very interesting to read. Anyway,
yeah.
Jeremy, do you have any others that popped into mind yet, or no?
I'm sure you can think of a video game.
Why? What do you sure?
You have one in mind that you think you should tell him, or what?
Yeah, well, I have one in mind that I know is on probably both your lists, even if Jeremy hasn't written one.
Origins?
Well, that too, but
no, Origins.
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was. Yeah. No, that is on my list. Origins isn't.
If I made a list, that'd be number one actually.
Last of Us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that was huge.
I've never had a storytelling experience like that one before. It was insane. That game is crazy good. And if it doesn't win Game of the Year at like every single outlet, I think I might like.
It didn't at Spike.
Really?
GTA 5 won.
Oh God, why? It's okay, yo. That's not okay. So as an aside here for a second, I made a list of things of moments that stuck out to me, or whatever, in 2013. But there's things that stuck out to me in a negative fashion. Maybe not negative, but just as maybe a little bit of a disappointment. Origins is a little bit of, I've talked about this, being Dan, extensively about how Origins is a little bit of a letdown personally. Not so much for you guys, but more so for me. And then how GTA 5, how I was really excited for it. And I played a lot of it, like hours. But it just like every other Grand Theft Auto game, every single one, I put it down about halfway through, and I haven't gone back to it yet. And maybe that's because I have the PS4 now, and I don't want to, like, I've been spending a lot of time playing Battlefield 4 on there.
Which I hear is broken.
You know, I haven't had problems in a while. It was, for me, when I first got it, it was broken. I couldn't play, and there was a lot of bugs. But like we've talked about how EA is working on fixing those bugs. The game works for me now, at least on the PS4. And it's fun. Like my brother and sister, who don't really even play games, I've been playing Battlefield 4 on my PS4 like every single day, to the point where I don't even get to play very much. But yeah, so back to what I was saying with Grand Theft Auto, it's a great game. Like technically, a crazy achievement, especially when they did with the fact that they did it on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, dated systems at that point. But it's not. It's not Last of Us Game of the Year worthy, you know?
Yeah. Jeremy.
Yeah, we lost Jeremy. Call dropped. It was dropped. Is he calling him back? I think it's calling him back. So we'll find out. Jeremy's kind of a tough case with he's using his iPad to call in, so I mean, that's why we've been getting the reverb, the echo a little bit. It's tough. I mean, I think he wants to get a computer to fix that, and for the meantime, it's this whole.
I don't know what else to say about Last of Us. Like, I'm obviously, and I think most people are huge fans of cinematic games, right? I mean, there's arcade style games like Call of Duty. You don't really care about the cutscenes, but.
Oh yeah, Jeremy's back, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so continue.
Yeah, in terms of like a cinematic or like immersive game experience, it was like it was like he was saying about the comic books. That was a game you didn't want to put down, and it wasn't that you didn't want to put it down because of the multiplayer. You didn't want to put it down because you wanted to finish the story, and even while you're playing, you really feel like you're in there. You're scared. Those things aren't easy to take down. You know, you have to be smart. You have to be careful.
Yeah, it's a game that's different than pretty much any other game I've ever played, in the way that it makes you think about the world you're in, about the people that are in it, and how it's affecting those people. I think Naughty Dog, I think we can all agree right now, is probably the best game studio out, like, working right now. And I can't think of anyone that's making better games on a consistent basis.
Yep. Yeah.
And we can only get more excited for what they're doing with the next Uncharted, which doesn't have a subtitle or a number yet. Which actually, I'm thinking, what do you guys think? Do you guys think they're going to call it Uncharted 4, or are they going to call it just Uncharted : whatever, like they did with Killzone? They didn't call it Killzone 4.
I think they should go with 4.
I think calling it Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 4 makes sense. At the same time, you don't want to alienate all those people who bought PlayStations, who had Xboxes before, and say, well, right, I can't play this game because I haven't played 1, 2, and 3. Maybe
but usually you drop the number when you have a semi-reboot kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't played Killzone.
Well, Killzone has had a stigma where it hasn't always lived up to its potential. So I'm pretty sure that they dropped the 4.
Yeah,
for that.
Like, because again, you have all these people who weren't invested in this series before. You can get them in now with this new title, but I think people know Uncharted is good.
They can release collections for cheap. You know, they can get people caught up.
Yeah, and especially because of the fact that it's not backwards compatible, it's tough, right? So maybe you do release a Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 like collector's edition pack for the PlayStation 4, all in one disc.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what you could do different. Maybe without the multiplayer, because you would just be all a single player. Maybe you have it all as one story that plays through. I don't know how you do it, but you could probably still play it off. Maybe just easier to, instead of doing that, it's just easier to call it Uncharted blank, like they did with the first one, which wasn't even just called Uncharted. It was called Uncharted Drake's Fortune, right? So, and they've all had subtitles. So maybe this probably won't be any different.
Yeah, I'd drop the number. I don't really need the number there. I don't think anybody's buying it for the number 4. Who cares?
Well, they did it. Well, people do. I mean, there's a whole study saying that if you literally made a new game that's never been, sequels sell better. That's never been out before. Like you can make a new franchise and you just put a 2 at the end of it. It'll literally sell better than if you didn't put that 2 at the end.
Yeah. A 2, not necessarily a 4. I think people like Trinities.
Apparently, there's like a Wii game they released that just said something 2, and it was like
never had a first one.
Yeah, never had a first one.
because they know it sells better that way. The Wii was full of those kind of crappy like dumbware.
Well, carnival mini games, whatever.
Yeah, that game sold like billions of copies. Well, millions, not billions, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. I think at some point you reach a point of diminishing returns, though. Maybe it's not at 4, but it's soon after that.
Well, how many Resident Evil games are there? 6?
Yeah.
Main ones?
Yeah, and they're making a 7th right now.
Is it gonna? But I think they'd be smart to reboot Resident Evil.
No, they are. They've already said they're taking into account fan reaction, but they're just saying they're working on the 7th iteration, even though there's been more games without the number attached to it. So
yeah,
there's more close to like 15 Resident Evil games.
Well, then you talk about like something like the Mario Kart franchise, which has been around forever, and they've only started putting numbers on their thing now. They never had numbers until Mario Kart 6. Now we're at Mario Kart 8 all of a sudden. Like,
no, I think Mario Kart 7 was the one that started it, right?
One of the ones, the one for the 3DS, I thought, right? Yeah. So now they have 8.
8's cool because they use like a figure 8 track as the 8.
Yeah, which is cool.
It makes sense for a logo.
No, I get it, but it's like, so obviously when you talk about people's like diminishing returns, I think it'll be less. I mean, there will be less for a Mario Kart game than any other because just how poorly the Wii U's selling. But
well, it's doing better now. Apparently, it sold more than 360 over Christmas.
Really?
Or Xbox One, sorry.
Well, it's maybe possible that they just had more units out there.
Yeah, well, and the new games are helping. So,
I mean, it's tough to say because it's like you have with every Nintendo system, it's like you count them out. It's like, oh, they're done, and then you said the same thing.
We've already talked about this. As soon as the games come, it's gonna jump right up again.
Yeah, I don't. It'll always. I think it'll be the 3rd place this year.
This 3D World's the first test, and it's working.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart's their best-selling franchise, hands down. So,
Daniel, did you get 3D World?
Nah.
Man, what are you waiting for?
It's a mistake.
Yeah, that is a mistake. Man. Do you not like Mario games anymore? Do you not have child joy?
Man. I'll get it eventually. I don't know. I haven't picked it up yet. No.
It's really good.
Will you pick up Mario Kart? We obviously know you're gonna get Smash Bros, but
Smash Bros is my number 1 for that system. But
that's all you're really waiting for, eh?
The 3DS.
out of those 3, it goes Smash Bros, Mario World, then Mario. I don't really care as much about Mario Kart.
Cool.
I've never been as big into that as you guys. I'm not a big fan of racing games, and that is one of the more unique racing games. But
no, there's a difference between a racing game and a kart racer.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It's a unique game, and it's fun to play. It's just not. I'm not going to get obsessive about it.
I don't think you understand how fun Mario Kart is.
Right. You guys,
I literally played it for.
Hey. You guys jerk each other off about Mario Kart for a while. I have to go to the washroom.
Oh, whatever. I was saying to Jeremy, like I picked up the 3DS, I played Mario Kart for like 3 seconds. I was like, oh my god, I forgot how much fun this was. Not enough maybe to buy a 3DS. Not yet, anyway.
You should.
I'm leaning towards the Vita because of the PS4.
Yeah, but you can find the XL for like $169 some places.
Yeah, I mean, I can make that in one night some nights. It's like...
Yeah, exactly. Then new Zelda game just came out. You got Ocarina of Time on there, the remake.
And you know what? As long as we're making confessions at the end of 2013, I've never fully beat Ocarina of Time.
Neither have I. Anytime I talk with people about it, I always tell them I haven't fully beat it.
I played it. I understand why people love it. I just never played it.
Yeah, I can understand it's regarded as the best game of all time. I have huge respect for it. I've never had the opportunity to sit down and just play it, in and out.
And by the time I really started appreciating it for what it was and understanding like what it was, what made it so great, it was so dated at that point that I didn't want to go back. And just playing N64 games after the GameCube came out just was tough. Like really.
Yeah.
It's like you do want to go back. You're gonna play Conker's Bad Fur Day again? No, I mean
No.
Yes.
Shut up, Daniel.
You guys almost talking about Mario Kart actually that whole time?
No, more Mario games, but you guys don't have a 3DS, but like this year, like Mario Tennis came out, Paper Mario, Luigi's Mansion, the Mario and Luigi RPG game came out, like a new one. So
They had another Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought the Paper Mario was the Mario Luigi RPG.
no, like
there was another
Superstar
one where they
Sega.
could-
Yeah.
The 3DS game came out called Dream Team.
Do you guys remember Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo?
Yep, I have it on the Virtual Console.
That was a fun game. Also, really, like, it must have been weird that when they threw that out.
They're handhelds now.
Yeah. And they're hilarious. Like, we've talked about it. Hilarious games.
When Mario and Luigi talk, it's like it's a recording of Italian gibberish.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
But yeah, Dan, we were just talking about Ocarina of Time and saying that we never beat it. We've never played all the way through it. And we understand why people really like it. But we've never had a chance to go back and actually play it. Because obviously Ocarina of Time came out. It was one of the launch titles, wasn't it? With the 3DS?
Yeah.
And I'd love to go back and play it. I was saying I was leaning towards getting a Vita. I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but Dan's he's never really been into the handhelds though, eh?
No, I've never owned a handheld system.
Now's the time to do it.
I don't think so.
I think it is. This Smash Bros. Coming out for the 3DS as well.
I think it's not.
It is.
But it is though. No, I don't. No, but it is.
Another thing, like a more, I guess, on the negative side, I guess we had the next gen launch of the PS4 and Xbox One, and for me personally, I felt no enthusiasm or excitement for either systems. I guess Dan didn't really either because he didn't get one. But
Nah.
I guess you were caught up in the hype pretty much, and you got yourself one. But I don't know, the games and everything else just isn't attracting me right now. So I'm gonna wait it out.
Here's the problem. I actually totally agree with you. I was gonna put that on the same side of the 2013 as being a slightly disappointment. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 4, really enjoying it. At least the parts that were working. Now that it's working, but the new system itself, it feels like kind of an extension of its like PS3.5. I don't want to be that guy that calls it PS3.5 because kind of like they call the Wii the GameCube 1.5 or whatever.
Well, it's definitely more powerful. It's just the jump isn't as noticeable as, let's say, GameCube. PS2 to PS3.
No, but not even that. Like when I moved from GameCube to PS3, or the Wii, I guess that was the Wii, but same generation. But it felt like a jump up because the online infrastructure never worked on the Wii. So really, the PlayStation 3 was my first experience with playing games online. Really, other than playing Battlefield 2. I played Battlefield 2 on the PC a lot, but like as far as home theater system style interacting. And that was big jump for me. That was huge. That side part, not so much the games, but like the ability to interact online and have the friends lists and all that kind of stuff. That was
some people would just turn their system on to see what their friends are doing, or just browse the store, right? Not always just play.
And this is that same thing. It's just you turn it on and your friends, the same friends from the PS3 are there, and like the only difference is now I can like nothing new. Like I can record it. That's about it right now.
Yeah. Well, the online has been, revamped. Like it's more like the friend system is way better. I hear. Like
it does. You can use real names, which is nice.
Yeah. Party chat, like real pictures and stuff. I think, right?
Yep. I have my Facebook profile picture is the picture on there. But like,
so there's a lot more features. It doesn't seem like a huge jump, I guess, to some people.
No, I mean, thing is those things seem like more like a catch up. Like they should have already been there.
Right.
Like party chat should have been there anyway. So that's not like I don't care about party chat. I'm like, yay! I mean, Xbox 360 unit. I've been using that since it came out, like in 2005.
Well, it's cool to have. I think it's necessary.
Yeah, I know. I get it, but it's not. I'm not going to get a jump for joy because the brand new system has something that the old one had, 5 years ago. So, but yeah, it's not a disappointment. It just the games. There isn't more games until March. That's I think when what's that game that like GTA whatever that's supposed to come out and set in the future. Watch Dogs. I think Watch Dogs comes out in March, and that was supposed to be a launch title.
I think if that game came out, I think it would have been a different story.
Well, it's all just ports. It's all
all
ports
right now, because that's like a new take on a game, right? So it would have been fun to have that now.
And really, everyone was saying the only great launch game was on the Xbox One, the zombie one, whatever it's called. You guys remember what it's called? It's like that. The same series as the one with the mall and like all the crazy stuff going on.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising 3, I think they called it. But yeah, so like that was really the only, because it was a new thing. It wasn't a port. It was new, and that's why people I think gravitated towards that. I was it's interesting to see that how much parity that the Xbox is and selling sales wise has had with the PS4. I was expecting a little bit more of a difference, but I mean, as the year goes on in 2014, I think we have a better picture of how that balances out or not. What else do I have as far as on the plus side? Let's see if I can change it up here. I'll stay on the video game side for a second. While we're talking about it, so BioShock Infinite was pretty big for me. Story-wise, we're talking. I think this year for me, the games with the best stories really hooked me. Obviously, The Last of Us being the exemplar of that, being the best of the best. But BioShock Infinite had a really great and interesting story, different than you normally see in a lot of games. In the fact that you dealt with like different universes and all this like crazy like time travel and all this. I don't even know how to describe it, to be honest with you. But it kept you on the edge of your seat, even if the gameplay wasn't always the best. As far as the shooting, I mean, I think people have talked about like the violence in BioShock kind of doesn't fit what the whole message of the game was, but it still needed to be a game, so I kind of understood that. Whereas in The Last of Us, that violence felt organic with the story as well, whereas it felt in BioShock as kind of jarring disconnect between when you're dealing with the character moments and you're dealing with the actual gameplay moments. But other than
more video gamey,
yeah, it felt more video gamey. But the story itself was still very engaging and interesting. Yeah. Like there was crazy twists and things I wasn't expecting, and how they did it was all very cool. Dan, you played BioShock. I lent it to you.
Yeah.
Did it stand out for you at all as being?
I wouldn't say that it really. I mean, the story, like you said, yeah, dealing with the quantum mechanics and stuff like that it was a cool little twist. I didn't have a problem with the gameplay. I found it very easy. I played it on hard, and I still found it fairly easy. But other than that, it was just like a fun little game, you know.
I've never heard anyone describe BioShock Infinite as a fun little game before, but
it's just a fun little, cute little game.
Yeah, you can't say little game.
Yeah, it's not little. But I don't know. It's fun. It was just different. It was great. It was another highlight of because it was one of those games again I couldn't put down. I just wanted to keep playing, which is to me that's the biggest thing for me always. If the game doesn't hook me and keep me wanting to play playing for hours at a time, I feel like there's better things I could be doing or other games I can be playing.
I chose not to play it because I started the first one in the series, so yeah. I kind of wanted to get that perspective and finish that one. So I'm gonna finish the first one first, and then I'll definitely play Infinite after that.
Yeah, I mean, and what's great about BioShock Infinite is that actually BioShock 1 is included on the disc. I haven't gone back and played the first one, but people speak like highly of that one, probably being one of the best games of the last generation. So I think I should do myself the service and probably go back and just get her done. I probably will enjoy it too, especially with the DLC. I don't know if it's already come out or not with the Return to Rapture with the DLC for Infinite. So anyway, Dan, what else do you have on your list?
All right, I'll I guess throw it back to movies. I know
Fast and Furious 6.
Fast and Furious 6.
No, I know.
He's like, there's no answer. Sorry, go ahead.
Iron Man 3. I actually really liked it. I know there's a big controversy about one part of it, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, yeah, that one point.
I enjoyed the fallout after, like the Avengers dealing with that. It obviously wasn't on the same scale as Avengers, but it was a good little personal Tony Stark story. I thought they did it pretty well.
No, I agree. It's not on my list because maybe because it came out so early in the year. I don't know why I didn't include it, to be honest with you. I did enjoy it, but it just didn't stand out to me. I guess it was fun, but it just didn't feel, maybe because probably for a lot of those things, the same reasons you said. It was the first movie that came out after the Avengers, so it felt like a letdown compared to the Avengers. And then other than that, it was a great movie. It just didn't stand out for me as being one of the best of 2013. You know.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have put it on the opposite. Like I wouldn't have put it in the letdowns list. I just would have left it in between. And Thor 2 is not on here either. It's just.
Yeah, that's not on my list.
But like those, which is kind of, I don't know if that how much do you think that really speaks towards what Marvel is doing? Both those movies obviously did very well at the box office, right? Probably some of the best as far as tickets sold or making money, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Neither of those movies, the two that came out this year, neither of them really stood out. Is that a bad sign? Do you think we're on a bad trend here? Are we trending down after Avengers?
I think we're just more focused on those when they group together in the Avengers.
So it's hard to.
Yeah, I think they'll bring it back once they.
Like it's cool we get these little side stories, but I guess sometimes they're just not as big. I guess they can't capture that same magic as when they came together. So
yeah, but I guess how do you? There's no right answer then. Like, how do you always? You can't always get bigger.
We view it as the cinematic universe, right? So it's all one thing to us. So
it's like another piece of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the payoff is Avengers 2 and 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like kind of just biding our time till we get we get these. That's fun. Yeah, sure. I'll go watch this Iron Man movie. It'll be fun.
That's what we want, right? We don't want like 3 years to wait for the Avengers movies, right? It's great having these ones in between.
Yeah, but they just pale in comparison to the Avengers. It's not their own. It's not their fault, but that's how it is.
It's a piece of the puzzle, and it makes that puzzle that much greater. So
it'll be interesting to see how they do Justice League wise with over at DC. Yeah. Are they going to continue, or they just make Justice League movies, or they do single stories? Because then they have this same problem where their single movies of these other characters have not done well. So maybe because they was in the Justice League before, they'll do better, but then you'll have the same problem where it doesn't feel as important,
But the movies they make, I guess mostly Batman and Superman, have been, on their own, like huge epic movies that are always talked about, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Aside from Green Lantern, which kind of tried to copy the Marvel kind of feel,
yeah.
I feel. So, if they continue that with getting the best filmmakers and best writers, and then amalgamate into the one Justice League movie, like who knows how good it can be.
It's true, and we're talking about Batman versus Superman. It's almost talking about it like a Justice League movie, or anyway, because Wonder Woman's going to be in it. It's like, how is it at this point? Like, when is it just going to be called Justice League? And if it's not, it better be called Batman versus Superman, because that's the best title they have going for them. To be honest with you, none of those ones that we talked about before are good.
Everyone said if they just call it that, it'll sell no matter what.
Yeah, like to anyone. Like no, everyone knows who Batman and Superman is, and that's like, and not everyone knew who Iron Man was when that movie first came out.
Yeah. But I feel the creative team around it, they might not want to throw that gimmicky tagline onto it.
Yeah.
Like they got the Dark Knight, right? The Man of Steel. Like it's the cooler, more adult sounding.
Call it the Dark Knight versus the Man of Steel.
If they were to make like Green Lantern again, like I feel like they would call it the Emerald Warrior or something like that.
I don't know how.
I don't know. They won't. But it's like that's the type of names they're trying to go for.
You're better off just taking the animated movie name, Emerald Knights. Yeah. That's better than Emerald Warrior. But actually, speaking of Batman versus Superman, that announcement, that whole thing that we've been talking about for, who knows, like how long has it been now? 3 months, 4 months, maybe longer, that we've been talking about Batman versus Superman. That announcement is on my list of things that happened in 2013 that it was big for me, or at least for us, because we've been talking about it almost every episode, if not every episode, and in between episodes, as just being huge. I mean, the whole year of 2015 we know is going to be massive with all the movies coming out then. Star Wars, obviously. And you know what? I completely forgot about that, but that Star Wars announcement, also huge. These two movie announcements being both in 2013, Star Wars set for 2015, Batman vs. Superman set for 2015, but that whole like Star Wars saga leading up from when we found out it was sold to from Lucas to Disney, when we found out there would be a new Star Wars movie in 2015, when we found out that it would be episode 7 and that we would get an 8 and 9 every 2 years after that, and that in between that we would get a standalone Star Wars movie every single other year. Like, That's huge. That is huge. And like that's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest story, probably as far as our audience is concerned for this year.
Yeah. And both those stories, like every tidbit of information that leaks or gets out is like, number one on every website.
Yeah,
to look for and to talk about.
Millions of hits, like every single one, and we pick it apart and we think, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? And we have no idea, but we're just going off the little pieces we get. I mean, there was a rumor the other day that Denzel Washington was going to play Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was going to be that he was going to play Lex Luthor, which actually, you know what? Let me throw in right there. I would actually not mind seeing Denzel Washington as Lex Luthor. Yeah. I think he'd be pretty good at that.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah. A lot of people think
he plays a really compelling bad guy too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people complain that
Did we talk about Joaquin Phoenix being rumored as Lex Luthor?
No, I don't know if it was on the show now. So. Yeah, I don't think it was on the show. But would you rather see Joaquin Phoenix or Denzel Washington?
I'd go Denzel in that role.
Yeah, so would I.
I'd go Joaquin.
Yeah.
Well, to be different.
He can play a really good I guess Denzel's never really played a villain, so I can't.
Well, yeah, he has in.
I think Joaquin is just very dark when he
Training
does.
Day.
Training Day. Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Joaquin has that dark characteristics that I can see that in Lex Luthor.
Yeah. He's just so weird though. I mean, he just did her, right? And so it's hard to see.
It's definitely a weird choice, but I don't know.
I think.
Go ahead. One of you.
My biggest problem with him is that I associate him with Gladiator too much, and he's really like the creepy bad guy as opposed to the menacing bad guy or whatever.
I think he could play both. I mean, he's a great actor.
No, I know, but I see him as more creepy than anything else because of that.
That's true. That's a good point. Problem is, I just saw a trailer for Her, right? So that's like the most recent image of Joaquin Phoenix I have with his curly hair and stuff. It's like it doesn't like it's hard for me to picture it. Obviously, there's been other casting things about like. Where it's like hard to picture it and turns out great, and we don't even know who's going to play Lex Luthor. We don't even know Lex Luthor will be in it.
That casting, I think, is really important. Like it's crucial. I'd equate it to like the Loki character, and like how good that casting was.
It's true. That's a good point.
And how well it's been paying off. I think Lex Luthor needs to have that caliber as well.
Yeah, you know what? I think the villains arguably are more interesting characters than the heroes are most of the time, and having a complex character played by someone who can. Played by an actor who can portray those dimensions properly is huge. I think that's huge, and I think this franchise, like you said, Jeremy, it probably hinges on who they get for that role. Yeah, going forward anyway. Do you have anything else for 2013 that stuck out for you, Jeremy?
Not really. It's nothing popping up right now.
Really? Not even that of Jeff Johns' run on Green Lantern?
Yeah, but I mean, we've talked about that pretty extensively. Like, it's a big deal, yeah, but I feel like he's going to come back at one point. So.
Oh, you never said that before.
Yeah, I did.
What? Really? On the podcast we did the whole retrospective thing?
Yeah, I said I feel like he's going to come back at some point.
Okay, well, I forgot.
I would bet on it, actually.
Really? I'm not going to bet you. I'm not going to, but like. It's very possible. I mean, he's in the prime of his career as far as writing comics, so likely he'll come back at some point, if not to do like a standalone graphic novel or something like that, or back onto the main series. But it's unlikely he won't be touching Green Lantern again ever. Although, has he done Flash since he left Flash?
I'm not too sure.
I don't know. He's obviously done it with the Justice League, and he's obviously
he has them there.
I don't think he's gone back to the Flash since he left and he did Rebirth and all that stuff afterwards. But we'll see. I mean, comic books are crazy places where people don't stay dead, including writers. So we will keep an eye on that. For me that was huge because of how much I got into that series. I don't think I've ever been into a series more actually than that Green Lantern one, and then coming to an end.
It was pretty much got me into comics, so.
So I mean, it's huge to me. I've said that a whole bunch of times. There's a lot of big things that happened this year, but that was one of the bigger ones. Not biggest. I said the other one was the biggest one, but I'll stick by that. I'll stick by that one as my biggest. Should we pick a biggest one?
I don't think we have to.
Okay, fair enough.
What do you mean, like if you had to pick one?
If you had to pick one thing that defines 2013, what would it be? as far as this
I
stuff.
don't know about defining, but if I had to pick one experience to do again, it would be The Last of Us. Like if I had to choose one.
Okay, if you could go back in time and relive something, it would be The Last of Us.
Yes.
Okay. Dan?
I think no, I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm having a hard time disagreeing. I don't want to disagree. I think based on just purely like space in my mind, that things have, like that's taken up room, and just how much I've time spent thinking about these things, I would think that the Batman versus Superman announcement and all the news leading up to that with the Ben Affleck thing. Obviously, I haven't even talked about that. I mean, Ben Affleck is Batman, right? Huge. That news and that whole just takes up so much mind share for me that I can't ignore it. As I think that defines 2013 for me as far as the year.
I guess that's a slightly different answer. Like if we were to narrow it down to like the best experience, right? Either a movie.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna say experience, then yeah, absolutely, because that's not really an experience, right?
It's a huge deal kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, best experience for sure. The Last of Us has like hands down. Like even The Last of Us, like Man of Steel would have to be close, but it wouldn't be. Yeah. It'd be close by being second, but the difference between first and two would be huge there.
And for me, watching like the final episodes of Breaking Bad would be close too as well.
Breaking Bad was big, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But if I had to pick one, it's The Last of Us.
Okay, and we don't know how much Daniel loves about having to pick something.
I don't get that one.
Well, he always refuses to make lists. I tried to do the top 10 movies that we liked, and I was the only one to make. Daniel didn't want it. He had to break it down into genres. He would refuse to make a list.
It's too much to think about.
You can't. I asked you what you thought your favorite movie of all time was. You couldn't even answer that.
No, I still could not answer that.
How? I don't know. I mean, how's that? It makes no sense to me.
No, that's such a complicated question.
It's a hard decision. Because basically that decision is like if you had to pick one movie you'd watch forever and no other movie, like that's the movie.
Yeah, I guess that's what people. That's one of the ways people interpret that question.
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah,
so
okay,
it's
but
like
there's no way
really
to imagine that. Like I don't know. That's a harder question to answer than.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Obviously, this isn't the end of all time of podcast. This is just the end of 2013 podcast. So I'm not going to make you answer that. But I think a couple other things I want to throw on here. Pacific Rim, I thought that was just an exciting experience, like theatrically, visually. Yeah, you didn't like it.
I didn't see it, but
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, when you say ugh, you haven't seen it.
Yeah, because judging based on what I know of it in the trailers I saw and what I heard afterwards.
It's the same problem I have with you with this whole Captain Phillips thing. You say it's stupid, you haven't even seen it. I mean, I've been hearing good things, so I haven't seen it either. I'm not going to say it's a great movie, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie, but I'm not going to say it's shitty for no reason. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but I'm also not going to say that it's good based on quote unquote hearing things. I'm going to base it on my own opinion.
I haven't said it's good. I just said I haven't said it's bad.
You can't say either.
I've said I'm not looking. I don't want to see it. It doesn't interest me, is what I've said.
Dan, have you seen Fast Six?
Fast Six,
no.
Dan, no.
Okay, well, I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was the best in the franchise, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the director, like Justin Lin, who kind of started the whole reboot, he told everyone that this one was going to be his last one. And he kind of brought it back full circle, and it could be the ending to the series, but it's not going to be. But he's done with the series, so I don't know. If it had a really good feel to it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it sucks to you look back at 2013. Paul Walker died just recently. That sucks. Yeah. There's a lot of people that died in 2013. I can't think of them all offhand, but I mean, every year there's actors and people that we enjoyed watching that have died, and obviously every year during the Oscars they do the great job of doing that whole retrospective and looking back at those people that have passed on. But
yeah, the uncle of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he
died recently. James Avery.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday or the day before, or today even maybe.
It was like Saturday or something.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, these are people that you've been watching for so long, and they're no longer with us, and it's like. It hits you hard. It's weird because you've never even met these people before, but it feels like you have.
You have a connection with them from what you've the movies you've watched or the shows you've watched. Mm-hmm. You can relate to them. So,
all right. Well, do we have any honorable mentions that we want to throw on, Dan? Is there anything on your list that you haven't mentioned yet?
I have a couple more. The only other things on my list for video games, I have Tomb Raider and Arkham Origins.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about Arkham Origins a little bit already, but Tomb Raider.
We talked a lot about Arkham Origins, but no, I feel like we were very like critical of it. I want to say like I still think it's a great game. It's still a great part of the series. It's just not the best in the series, which is why we were so harsh on it.
That's fair. I think we hold it to really high standards because of how great the first two were. And
but still, I wasn't as critical as you two, but I don't know.
You weren't as what? Sorry.
I wasn't as critical as you two. Like I was just happy to have another Batman game.
Sure. I mean, so was I.
That world, so. But going in, I knew it wasn't a Rocksteady sequel. Like I knew it was just another, foray into that world. So,
yeah, but I knew that same thing, and I feel like I even lowered my expectations because of it, and I still was kind of let down. I don't know what that says necessarily, but
I was happy with it.
Yeah, Dan. We say like it's not in my list of disappointments. It's in that middle part again, as far as being just it was just meh. Like I liked it. I didn't love it. It wouldn't stand out for me as being like a major part of 2013 for me.
Yeah, Tomb Raider was like a nice reboot to the series. They're taking it in a new direction, like not a new direction necessarily, but like a more grounded direction.
I'd say a new direction. I think that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's not as much of a shoot 'em up. It's more of a survival kind of thing.
I mean, they completely redesigned the character. That's pretty big.
It's their response to Uncharted and everything else that's going on.
And I think they did a good job responding to that. It's a great game. Yeah. Uncharted.
And they went with more of an edgier feel too. So.
Yeah, even which is hard. I mean, like not that Uncharted is very edgy, but it's like they didn't shy away from being like from violence and stuff like that in Uncharted. Yeah. So to go edgier is like. There's some brutal scenes in Tomb Raider. Oh, yeah. Some very brutal stuff. And like to go that way was like I think it was a ballsy move. So
that's all I had for video games. I just put it as a side note. It's not we don't have to talk about it a lot, but God of War Ascension was a disappointment.
You have played it and beat it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was more God of War. It was
just like a throwaway story. It wasn't more God of War. It was because it barely had anything to do with the actual games, and it was like they threw together a story that didn't make a lot of sense. And
I mean,
the gameplay wasn't as good.
To be fair, none of those stories made a lot of sense. But
no, they did like a little bit.
Yeah, no, I get
it. At least they were grounded in like real mythology, like, and this one was to a certain extent, but it just seems like they're just throwing random characters.
How was the gameplay not as good though? Like I don't get that.
Yeah, they I don't know. They didn't do a good job with it. It was choppier. It didn't flow the same way. Like,
wasn't it the same creative team? Like I don't.
As Uncharted as God of War 3?
Yeah, like what did they change for the gameplay?
I haven't played it in a while. I mean, this was early in the year as well, but I remember it was a lot. It didn't flow the same way. It was choppier and like you could be interrupted differently, and it's just not what. Maybe I was just not used to it playing God of War. But I had a much harder time with it, and not like hard like a video game hard like the buttons didn't work hard.
That's weird. That's the okay. I get that. I understand. Yeah, I don't know. That sucks. I really liked God of War 3. I didn't like, and that's I don't know if that's saying much about the series that they only released 2 games for the PS3 over its lifespan. One of them being like kind of just out the door, kind of rushed almost. You'd say, did it feel rushed?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Yeah. So it's.
But it did, like, from my perspective from not playing those games, it was more so like a Batman Origins type game, or like a second tier team who makes Call of Duty games. Like. Oh yeah. Okay. It wasn't like a God of War 4. Like everyone needs to play this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's another. This is a side note. Well, not a side. Pretending that a few times this year I found us saying that it felt like that one felt like God of War Light, Arkham Origins felt like Arkham City Light, and the Hobbit. I want to say we didn't talk about the Hobbit a lot, but the Hobbit movies feel a lot like Lord of the Rings Light.
I kind of get the Hobbit ones, being that it's a lighter story, and it's a different book. Sense, but it just I get what you're saying, as far as those other like all those things. I get it. Maybe we're just because we're so inundated with sequels and like always expecting like more and more that it's hard like that if a game even just hits the same level as the previous one, it doesn't feel as epic, anymore.
The other thing about all those is they are technically prequels to all the ones I mentioned.
That's true. And that's another bit.
I think mostly made by a different studio, right? Who's taking the reins over.
Although not with Hobbit though.
No, not with Hobbit, but like that one's. I think that one's just different because it's like
It's that different story.
Those movies, like The Hobbit, hinges on what happens after, kind of thing. You know.
But the thing
I
is
would
that
say.
only because they make it like that. I mean, it could have been done in one movie, to be honest with you, probably two,
Right.
if you want to do it.
I would have done 2, yeah.
But I mean, um,
Even one just like intense, movie would have been great.
I mean, the book is like half the size of any of the other books in the Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
and it's like so you go and you make. I mean, I get the whole like one book, one movie doesn't always that equal sign doesn't always work. Like you can't always just make
Yeah,
one
so with
movie.
most books, you don't include everything that's in it anyways. So
Exactly, and like they dropped so much stuff in Lord of the Rings stuff, and how great are those movies because they were forced to make those decisions and take the most important parts, right?
I wouldn't say that's why they're great, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But I mean, I don't think it. I think you probably weaken it by trying to water it down because they're also already 3 hour long movies. You make them any longer than that.
Those movies are already more on they're more of an epic scale though than the Hobbit could ever be.
Exactly, it's like you're dealing with the end of the world.
Already, you have a problem with the Hobbit not being as big or magical as those.
Yeah,
movies
it was never supposed to be on the same scale, but I don't know. We don't have to do this now. I have a whole bunch of notes written down about the Hobbit. I want to do it as a separate episode. Or something.
Okay, all right. Well, we can wrap this up here, and we can start recording a special Hobbit one if we want. You want to do that?
If you guys have time, I don't know. It won't take too long.
I have time.
You guys can do it.
Okay, I mean that's fine. Your input's always good, Jeremy, but that's fine.
Well, I'm waiting for all 3 movies to make my decision.
Okay, so you'll be there next year, this time when we discuss the third one, and we can finally actually talk about all of them as a whole, which will be interesting, I guess. But okay, I'll go over the rest of what I have on this list here, super quick. It just says honorable mentions. So the Marvel TV announcement with the whole Power Man and the whole Defenders miniseries and all that stuff with Jessica Jones and Iron Fist and
very exciting.
Daredevil. Like that was a big news. It felt smaller for some reason at the time. It wasn't as, I don't know what happened. Like that should be bigger news.
It was just it wasn't like a huge press event where they announced it, right? It was just told.
Yeah, it was. I think it was done on like a financial report, like phone call thing.
But there wasn't any images of the logos of the show or anything, right? That really can cement.
Yeah, and then
into your.
That and the only real news we've had out of it is that guy from Buffy is going to be doing the directing of the Daredevil one. But that's it. That's all we know, right? So
and with the Batman announcement, it was at Comic-Con. We had an actor, reading a line from a famous comic book.
Yeah, epic voice too.
Pop up with both their logos molded together,
Yeah. So there was, I guess there's that visual portion to it.
It was more stimulating than just, some words about a show coming.
Yeah, to me though, I think that I'll move on to being that whole the advancement of comic book storytelling into television from just being on. I mean, there's always been comic book storytelling, and there's been heroes and all that other kind of stuff. But from moving from this whole cinematic universe thing and bringing it down to the television level with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which has been so. Not
that was one of my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I mean it's okay, it's cool because it ties in, but it's a family show. It's not really
You didn't mention Arrow at all for your mentions.
That's next up here actually, because I was gonna say that Arrow started in 2012, but the part that I've really liked has been the end of season 1, which is the beginning of 2013 in January, and
that's the popular opinion there. So.
And the beginning of season 2 so far, which has been the end of 2013. So it really bookends the year for me as being really great at the end of that first season, being really good at the beginning of this one, which is starting up again in a couple months, so for 2014. But the way that they've been able to transfer that the way that they've done the movies and make it believable, and now more so with the superpowers or whatever, but less believable. But it feels epic as a show, even though it's just a show. And I think now with the whole Marvel thing happening, I think we're moving towards even more of that style of storytelling, which I think is sometimes stronger. Having a 12-hour story play out over a long period of time as a a season, an arc with mini arcs in between and those types of things sometimes works better than a movie ever could, being restricted to like 3 hours ish, right? But I mean, I'm excited for this next season of Arrow, and on the honorable mention was the whole fact that the Flash origin was actually shown on television. On like we've actually seen it with the lightning bolt and like the chemicals and all that stuff, like on television with actual actors, which is I think for the other than maybe that original Flash TV show from like 1986. Well, yeah, it was like the original crappy show, but like done properly.
The original one was the 90s.
Was it really? I thought it was earlier than that.
Early 90s.
And I've never actually seen a single episode of it, to be honest.
It's not terrible.
Really? I for sure would think it would be. That honestly would be the first word I would use.
It's not great, but it's actually not as bad as you think it would be.
How do they do this? How do they do the
episode covers everything the Flash is all about. Like it's actually not the worst.
How do they do the like super speed? Because that's what I'm like, really interested to know how they're going to do that.
What do you mean, like how they made it look?
Yeah, like how do they make him
just your typical cheesy fast forward type?
Oh really? Okay. Effect. I guess it was the 90s.
But we've seen Man of Steel, right? That's what they're going to use in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that kind of effect? So.
But we still don't know if that's going to tie into like that's something looking forward to 2014. I didn't really consider that as far as things I'm looking forward to, but things I am looking forward to is the Arrow continuing and hopefully tying into what they're doing with the cinematic universe with the whole Justice League thing. But that's just kind of hopes and dreams kind of thing. Go ahead.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah, a pipe dream. There you go. Perfect. But other than that, yeah, that covers my list. And Dan, you said you've done yours.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Okay. Well then, I think we can wrap it up here. This is episode 23. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tower Babblecast. Jeremy's going to try to get headphones for next time we do this, so it doesn't sound like there's 3 of us talking when there's just one. And I don't know. Yeah, I think I might write up a couple, like an end of year thing for the podcast, for the website on the blog. So check out the website at www.towerbabblepodcast.com. Other than that, yeah, like we're pretty much everywhere on the social network. So send us in questions, ask us whatever, and we'll try to get back to them. Make sure to stay tuned to the podcast feed for our review of Desolation of Smog, The Hobbit 2. So yeah, check that out, and we'll see you guys next week.